Hi, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to connect the nb-iot 01 to an Arduino. So for today you will be needing an nb-iot 01 device. If you don't have that, you can purchase it on the link in the description below. We will also be using the Maker Zero Arduino device. You can also use the Uno or any of the other Arduinos. There's a tiny caveat if you're not using a 3.3 volt device. We'll be looking into that later. You will also need some jumper cables so we can connect these two devices together, and a micro USB cable to power the whole thing. As per usual, the journey starts on our nb-iot.engineering website. Click on Tutorials, Arduino Get Started, where you'll find the prerequisites and how to connect the devices. As I mentioned, we're going to use a 3.3 volt device. If you have an Arduino Uno or any of the other 5 volt Arduinos, you will need a 100 and a 220 ohm resistor that you will need to connect to R1 and R2 as shown on the image. Since we have a 3.3 volt Arduino, we'll just go ahead and connect it to the nb-iot 01 device. So we start off by connecting the VCC of the 3.3 to the red cable. We will connect the RX and TX. So the orange to TX, that should be the topmost. We'll just do it like this. And then connect the black one to ground. So if I've done it correctly, it should be the same as on the picture, and yeah, pretty much matches up. On the other end, connecting the nb-iot 01 breakout board to the thingy. Start with the 3.3 volt power, ground, black. Let's see what the diagram says. The orange to TX, and let's see if I do it this way, it's probably easier. Yep. So if I've done it correctly, the orange is TXT and the RX1 is on. Yellow is RX1, and yeah. All right, so now it looks like as it does on the image. Now, for the next step, we will need to download the Arduino IDE. So if you've already done this step, you can skip, but if you haven't, we go to arduino.cc, we go to Software, Downloads, scroll down to the Arduino IDE. Now, I have a Mac OS, but if you have Windows, you download the Windows, or the Linux if you have the Linux. I'll just click on it right away. I encourage you to contribute. For now, I'm just going to download the IDE as is. Once the file has downloaded, I simply unzip the file. Double-click the Arduino IDE. Press open. And now it's here. Next step is to connect the Maker Zero or the Arduino to the computer via USB to power it up. And once I've done that, I'll get a pop-up to install a package. If you have one of the other devices, you might not need to go through this step, but since I have the Maker Zero, I need to do that. So I'll install the package. It's quite straightforward, it's really fast. Just install, and wait for it to finish. Once it's done installing, so just close the manager. Most of the times the board will show up right here as a maker 0, so I'll just select that. If not, you might need to close the Arduino IDE and then open it again. It looks like it's working. We'll also need to select the right port, the USB modem port, and now I have a connection to the Arduino. So the next step is to go back to the tutorial and download the nb-iot library that we made for the breakout board. So I'll just select that. Installing this library is pretty straightforward. Just click clone or download the zip. It's really fast. Once it's downloaded, you go back to Arduino. You select the sketch, include library, and then add zip library. So you go to downloads and select the nb-iot master that we just downloaded, select, and that's pretty much it. In order for us to use this library, we just go back to include library, and then you have Telenor nb-iot. However, we have some sketches already prepared, so you don't have to write any code to test, and they are in the examples under file, examples, and then Telenor nb-iot. So let's try the hello sketch. So this is pretty straightforward. It does some magic stuff, gets the IMSI and writes it out. So we'll flash the Arduino with that code, so just by clicking upload. Sketch is compiling, it's uploading it to the device, and then once it's done, you click on the serial monitor, and you should be able to see the IMSI and IME code. Now, we will be needing those two to add them to our collection in Horde to communicate with the device. Now we go back to the nb-iot.engineering website. You sign in with Connect. If you don't have a Connect account, you can sign up, and sign in is essentially the same. So I'll just log in with my phone number. Sign in. I'll enter my password. I'll create a new collection. I'll call this Arduino, yeah, sure, and create the collection. I will need to add a new device, and I do that by clicking add the new device button right there. At this point, I need to give it a name, so I'll give it maker 0. I will need to copy the IMSI and IME code that we saw earlier, so I'm just going to do that. You should hide your IMSI code, because if people have access to that, they can emulate your device or clone your device. The IMEI is not so dangerous. That's public information. I'll create the device, and you'll see it right there, maker 0 with the IMEI and the IMSI code that I just entered. I click on the device, and then I get potentially some information. So where I'll go back to Arduino, and I'll just reload the sketch. Go back to serial monitor. It might take a couple of seconds, and then eventually you will get an IP address, and then we'll see that it has successfully sent data. That means that we have a connection between the Horde backend and the nb-iot device with the Arduino. So we saw that it gave us a payload. It's probably base64 encoded, and hey, hello, this is Arduino calling. So that's a success. Now, we have another sketch we can upload if you want, and that is the interactive one, pretty much the same, except that we have a user interface. So we'll just select the interactive and then upload that sketch. Yeah, once it's done uploading, essentially click the serial monitor, and this time around you have a menu where you can just give it some commands. Let's say, for instance, let's check if we're connected. Module is not connected, so let's go ahead and connect it. And we do that by pressing O for online. Now the radio is turned on. We'll create a socket. That means that we now have a socket between the Arduino and the backend, and let's just send a message to the backend, and we'll see that once it's sent, we should be able to see it here fairly. Yeah, and then the message came here, hello. So in today's tutorial, we connected Maker 0 to the nb-iot 01 breakout module. We sent some data from the Arduino to Horde's backend, and we saw that it was received. Next time, we'll probably connect some sensors to it, maybe a temperature sensor or proximity sensor or accelerometer or something, and have continuous data. And yeah, see you next time.